Well, it's a week on from Australia's deadliest terror attack that took place in Bondi. The government is putting forward new laws on hate speech and guns and also announced a $42.6 million support package for mental health. Well, joining us live is child and adolescent psychologist Andrew Greenfield. Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. And you work in Bondi Junction. You live around there as well.
Absolutely.
You've got kids, and how are you and your family feeling?
Yeah, I think it's the obvious, the same as everybody. Complete and utter shock is the first feeling, like everybody is shocked that this can happen in our backyard. But the fact that, just forget our backyard, the fact that this can happen anywhere, that's an immediate shock. The thing is, every single there is no one way of dealing with this. For adults, for kids, there's no one textbook way of dealing with it. Every single person is going to deal with this in their own way. Yeah. There's no right, there's no wrong. But I think the most important thing, because people are asking me all the time, well, what do we do? How do we talk to our kids? We need to ask our questions, well, what works for you? What works for your child? What works for your... The answer is going to be very different to every single person. Depends on their personalities, depends on their anxiety levels in the first place, depends on if there are other mental health issues going on in the first place. It depends on what they want to know as well. Some people really don't want to know, and some people really want to know is a lot of information. Yeah. So there are so many factors to this. So
would you say it's, understanding your child? Because I guess if you've got a child who is a talker and wants to talk, it would probably sound like it's an easier understanding, but the ones that are more shut off, what would you do in that situation?
Yeah, it's got to be about, first of all, we've got to figure out what they're ready to hear as well. You can't force that. You have to be guided by them as to when they're ready to listen and when they're ready to talk, because everyone's going to be different in terms of that. So we've got to be patient as parents, as caregivers, as counsellors, as extended family members. It's got to be up to them. At the same time, we don't necessarily want them to say nothing at all. We want them to be able to talk, because a lot of the trauma can be built up if you say nothing and you're internalising it all as well. So we've got to make sure we don't just leave people alone either.
But that is quite common, isn't it? And we've got the social media bans that have come in place. Yep. A lot of kids like to shut their doors and not come out and go online, and it is very hard for parents. There's no blame here. But if you have a child that is just shut down, doesn't go to school under school holidays, but is just shut down from their friends, too scared to go out, they're hearing the sirens, police, they're in a heightened state of anxiety or whatever it is, what do you do then? Yeah,
and I think a lot of people, the very first thing we think about is what's changed, right? Everyone's talking about what's changed. That's obvious. We know what's changed. I think we need to also talk about what hasn't changed and focus on telling our kids what hasn't changed. We still have, and again, unfortunately, the people who were killed and murdered, a lot has changed for them. I'm not necessarily talking about those immediate families that are directed, but a lot of people that are affected indirectly. But what hasn't changed is the community that's around them, the help that they can get, the facts about the people that the emergency services try and do as much as they can. We still have our family and friends to lean on and to talk to. That hasn't changed. So I think there's really important for us to focus on what hasn't changed as well as what has changed.
And at Bondi, we see a lot of people there in support with mental health jackets on, and that's just Bondi. But then, of course, the government has put in $42.6 million for mental health. And again, a lot of this is going to bring up other triggers for many people. I'm not the psychologist, but I'm assuming that that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
So people that are afraid to reach out, because it's good that the ones that know they're going to get help, I need help, I'm at my tipping point. Yeah. The ones that can't get to that stage, what would you say to them? Yeah,
I think for people to know if they have a certain family member or a friend or a relative or whoever it is that is going through that, because we don't know how people are going to cope, but if that is the way that people seem to be coping or appear, we need to just make sure it's the whole idea of, are you okay? We need this is a time for making sure that we don't just necessarily want a yes-no response. We don't necessarily take what their verbal response is, because a lot of people say, yeah, I'm fine, don't worry about it. We know they're not. And people find it hard to talk about. People find it and they want to be a burden or they want to be a worry to others. So it's about just being with people and spending time with them, not necessarily just on, people are going to want to deal with it their own way, but they have to be able to have the people around them that are able to be able to do what they're wanting as well. Because not everyone necessarily wants to hear someone talk non-stop, because that's their own personality. I know it sounds a little bit selfish, it's about them, But we've got to be a little bit aware about it's not just about one person, it's about the other people, what they're also willing to. Because some people say, I just can't take talking too much about this because it just upsets me. So everyone's feelings are valid. And we need to make sure that everybody around us, there's no right or wrong here. If you really say, you know what, I just can't watch the news anymore, I can't listen to this anymore, you are entitled to do that. Obviously, we're going to have to say it in an appropriate way. But don't discount your own feelings because you are entitled to feel.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's some really good advice. And again, I mean, I can't even begin to, comprehend what people are dealing with that are directly impacted. They've lost their loved ones, they're in hospital. I mean, that's just...
Yeah, and that's again, a whole completely different story because that's going to take time. There's a whole trauma healing process. That's something that's incredibly difficult, takes a lot of time and effort and people and resources. But it's just about the whole idea of connectedness with your community, with your family, with your friends, whatever they need. That's all that matters at the time.
They've been through a lot, haven't they?
Absolutely.
The people in Bondi with the stabbing at Westfield.
Absolutely.
COVID has been a worldwide situation, and there's just a lot that all of us, but young ones, we're focusing on.
But the point is, time does heal, and a lot of people were afraid to go to Bondi Junction. People were very traumatised to go back to Bondi Beach. When I was there, the last couple of days, it is difficult. But I think if you're ready to, then I think it can help heal. If you're not ready to, that's fine. You'll do it whenever you're ready to.
Andrew, thank you so much.
No problem.
Great to see you.